Welcome to the SaaS AdLab podcast, where we bring to you the stories of SaaS founders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. My name is Luis. I'm the owner and founder of Fantom Agency, a digital marketing agency specializing in scaling SaaS companies. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Johnathan from Penji. He is the co-founder, and we've actually talked quite a bit in the past. I want to say maybe 1 year, maybe a year and a half. And I've learned a ton from him and from everything that he's doing. And I've seen a little bit behind the scenes and stuff like that. And it's just awesome, everything that they're able to do. So thank you for taking the time of the day to be on here today with me. I really appreciate that. And why don't you just do a little intro, about yourself and Penji?
Well, first I have to say that a full disclaimer that I talk to this man more than I talk to my own family. The road of entrepreneurship is a very dark and lonely place, and it's good to talk to like-minded individuals like yourself. So I'm really happy to be here, and hopefully we could share some value. My name's Johnathan. I'm one of the co-founders of Penji. We're an on-demand graphic design service, all at one flat monthly rate. We have a pretty cool platform that's very simple, very fast, very easy, and affordable, of course, to use. The idea is with Penji that we want you to sign up for a service, trust who we are, understand what we do, and receive the graphic designs that you want. Simple as that. So whether you need a logo or an advertisement because you're in SaaS world, or maybe you need an app that you have an idea for and you don't feel like bringing that person on because they're too expensive, or you find it really difficult in order to find that design talent through freelance websites, you use a service like ours. If you like it, you use it. If you don't like it, you can ask for another designer, and we do it over and over again on a repeated basis, unlimited amount of times on a monthly basis.
Mm-hmm. And as far as, let's bring it back a little bit before Penji actually happened. I know there's a very awesome story about Penji and how it kind of all came together and worked itself into being a company that's doing some really amazing things for the community and also for its clients. So how did everything kind of get started? Where did you realize, yourself and the co-founder, how did you guys realize that there was a place for this company, and how did you start executing?
So I'll give you the whole story because I don't even think we've talked about it in detail, but I worked for Apple at the age of 18 and I quit at around 23. I hated my life. I hated everything. I wanted to do things that are extremely dark and disgusting to think about. And I knew what I wanted to do, but I was afraid to do it. And I shared that just because I think it's important that it's okay to feel that darkness. It's okay to feel that, like, I want to quit my job. I want to leave, but maybe I'm not ready for it yet. And I was stupid and I quit when I wasn't ready for it. And now, granted, I have a relatively somewhat of a success story where I could see the light of day, but there are days where I couldn't see the light of day. And, I started a company called Pan Fried Media. And I knew that there are two things. If I wasn't getting an income, so when I quit my job, after I quit my job, but I knew I needed to eat food. So I would barter my services because I did a media company for food. And I bartered my services. If bartering didn't work, then I would ask for a couple $100 a month to do social media marketing. But fast forward, I started an agency after that, outside of that failure, and it was really difficult to find quality graphic design talent. And then what ended up happening was that I ended up doing all the graphic designs myself. And I mean, you know me a little bit better than most people, but I can't design for crap. Like, I'm not a designer at all. I'm really bad at graphic design. I'm really bad at drawing. I can't do any of it. So, I ended up doing it for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And I'm like, can't be doing this anymore. So I tried to hire students. I tried to go on freelance websites. I tried to, bring on staff, and none of them were the right fit. And so we got really lucky and found a really talented graphic designer that's now one of our founding members. And the one thing over time in and time out, the one thing that our customers said that we were doing really well was that we were really good at graphic design. And so we're like, well, I had this problem. he's a really good graphic designer. So what can we do more, right? If there's a trend here, there's a trend. People are saying this one thing, the commonality between everything. And we never looked at it for years. We didn't look at that commonality. And then it finally hit us. We can no longer be an agency anymore because number one, we're not fulfilling our goals, our life goals, our dreams. Number two, it's not fun to do it. And number three, it's not a scalable way. A digital marketing agency for us, it just didn't fit. Now, I'm sure there are people that are listening right now that, it might make you a couple $100,000 a year, and that's great. But like, that's not the level of impact that we want to make in our lives. So we had to look at ourselves, and this is our goal. This is what we want to accomplish. We can't get there doing the same thing that we're doing right now. And then we pivoted and ended up creating this on-demand graphic design service in Penji with the key emphasis of two things. We want to serve our community, and we want to help those who help others. That's our mission, helping those who help others. Because after all the commonality of the graphic design people saying things to us, and then in addition to that, us consistently doing good for the community, even when it wasn't our social mission, it hit us and we're like, well, again, graphic design, we're community driven. How can we mesh the two? And then that's when my co-founder came in, and my co-founder was very heavily involved in underserved communities. And that's where we're headquartered, in an underserved community. So, yes, we are an on-demand graphic design service. We have amazing clients, but we provide opportunities for students and residents in underserved communities, so they can get jobs and internships and education behind what it's like to run a business.
Okay, that's awesome. And what was the hardest thing of essentially doing all of this? What were some of the things that kind of stood out most and that you found yourself really struggling with as you built the company, from, let's say, yourself and your co-founder and the other founding designer? Where were you getting stuck, and how did you overcome that?
The biggest thing that I was stuck in are two things. Number one was myself, because working with people is really hard. And when you work with other people, when you have to manage them, you have high expectations, because your expectations are at the same level of how you hold yourself. And I, for one, beat myself up incredibly hard, probably harder than, most people are themselves. I beat the crap out of myself, but that's like I think it's like a bad thing. It's a good thing at the same time. So it's like, here you are working by yourself with like a small group of people, and now you have to manage a larger group of people, and it's like different personalities, different people. You have to become a different person in order to do that. So that's number one. And then number two, I would just say, is sales. I think that's the hardest thing that anybody could ever do for yourself, for your business, is to invest 100% of your heart and dedication to growing the business, because we constantly want to do these stupid stuff in our lives. Like, we want to send these emails. We want to wait for emails to come to us, or we want to continue working or designing on this project. That was the hardest thing, is overcoming, like, no, get the F out the room, like, get out of the house, get out of the room, get out of the office, and start selling. Get in front of those people, do the things that you say you want to do, but you just never do it. Like, those things, although sound so small and simple, is extremely difficult to train your mind in order to make that change.
To actually do them. Yeah.
Yeah, to actually do it.
That's one of the things that a lot of people find difficult, and it's really, and I see it all the time, but like myself included, is getting yourself, like, what you have to do. But there's that barrier that kind of keeps you from essentially doing what is going to get you to the next level, what is actually going to help you get through whatever you want to get through, or get to where you want to get. But there's always that limiting belief that you tell yourself over and over again, even subconsciously, but you don't want to do something even though you should. And that's the right thing to do. But I think there's definitely ways of rewiring, the brain to make you understand how to do that. And one of those ways I found extremely helpful is creating habits around things, and kind of matching two things together. For example, like sometimes I got in the habit of meditating, and
Hmm.
at the beginning, like I didn't know when to do it. Like I would say, okay, I'm gonna do it every day, but I didn't know when. And then when you start pairing it together with something else that you already do, like brushing your teeth, well, after I brush my teeth, then I'm gonna meditate. It kind of
Hmm.
starts acquiring itself, and making itself its own habit after a certain amount of time. But I think just doing stuff like that, whether you have to like write it in your notebook or whatever it is, it helps a ton.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I wish that I was able to be better at that. I think that sometimes meditation is like the cool thing to do that entrepreneurs are saying they're doing, but like I do it. I don't do it often enough, but like, yeah, you're right. The habit is really important.
Hmm.
And I think the hardest thing that anybody could ever do is to rewire your brain,
Yeah.
because you constantly want to go into work and be like, make my coffee, do this. I don't, number one, I don't drink coffee, so I don't have that problem. But anyways, you want to have this ritual. And then if you say you just sweep yourself under with a rug, somebody takes a rug right underneath you, and now your whole day's messed up. So like, if there is a way for you to rewire your brain to do the harder things first, and then do the easy things at the later half, or you don't have this like weird syndrome where like you see a shiny object and you have to do that thing because like, that's what you believe is the most important in that moment, and that's not true. So it's a long road, but you really have to just like have conversations with yourself. Like I'm
Yeah.
in my head all day. I'm looking at the mirror, not like in a self-conscious type of way, but I'm just like, dude, you suck today. Or like, you know what? You effing rocked it. Like you did a great job today. Like today, the past 2 days, A+ for me. Like if I were to grade myself tomorrow, who knows? We'll see. But like the past 2 days, like I'm really happy with the progress that we've made, and you just have to be aware of that. You have to be real with yourself.
Good. I love it. And let's talk a little bit more about the actual, company and the product. So how, what did you do to get those first 10 customers, to get the first 100 customers? And what got you from, let's say, 10 to, 100 to 1,000 and so on?
Yeah, the first 10 customers were extremely difficult to get.
Hmm.
And then once we started understanding the 10, the 100 became really fast.
Hmm.
And then the 100 turned into 200, turned into 5, and then 1,000, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to sales, we asked our friends for the first 10 sales.
Hmm.
Now we had the luxury of having a digital marketing agency. So we talked to our clients that were already paying us and said, hey, this is a new service that we want to do. Do you think you'd be interested in partaking in it?
Very cool.
So that was in our favor, and we converted a lot of those people into customers. But then once those people set aside, it was like, okay, well now how do we get more customers? So we still weren't even sure. Penji wasn't even supposed to happen. It was a luck of a draw type of company, because when we started it, we were like, well, this is what we kind of want to do. We were going to add the service into our digital marketing agency. And then we started, we got the 10 customers. It was difficult to do because it was a long process, but like we got them relatively quickly once we understood it. And then from there, we sent out a questionnaire and to about 200 of our like closest friends that were relatively in the industry, and we knew that they would be potentially good customers for it. And we said, if we build this, this is your problem, right? Do you have a problem in this? The answer is yes. No. Okay. If yes, then if we were to solve this problem, what would it do for you? And then we asked the final question is like, if we built this, would you buy it? And then the answer was yes. And every single person that said yes, we reached back out to them and said, hey man, you just said over the phone a couple weeks ago that you would buy this if we built it. Well, we just built it. Now, do you want to come down and buy it? And that was kind of how we got our first 100 customers. It was just that idea, and then referrals came, and then scaling is now happening, which is where we're at in the process now. We understand our customer base. We talk to every single customer that has ever stepped through our doors, that has ever trusted us, with Penji, whether it's on a nonprofit program that we have, whether it's a professional agency plan, whatever it may be. We've talked to every single one and we ask them, why did you choose us? What do we do that helps you? And that mentality, we understand our customers so damn well that I don't think there's a business out there in our industry that understands our customers more than what we do. And I'm not going to believe that because I want us to continue to get better, but we're constantly talking to our people. And that alone has allowed us to understand. So now when we use our ads, right, because you're the ad expert, now we know with accuracy what we need to say in order to sell them.
Well, because you're learning what the objections are and what are the things that people like. There's, let's say you have 1,000 customers and 900 of them say the exact same thing. Like,
exactly,
I love you guys. This is the problem that you're solving for me on a daily basis. Then at a scale, what is likely to work with everyone else that is similar to them, that it has the same interests and so on. So I think what you're doing is pretty genius because you're essentially just asking them, like, what do we need to do?
We have to be curious. Like we are stupid, right? Like in a sense, like we are dumb individuals and we want to play dumb until we're proven otherwise. And the data doesn't lie. If we have X amount of customers in this niche and they say that they want us for this reason, well, we'd be stupid to not throw an ad out there or a campaign, an email campaign, or even tweaking our cold emails in order to say that one phrase, because we know that's the silver bullet.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And is there anything personally that, kind of just getting on a more personal level here, that if you look back a year, what would you have done differently, knowing what you know now, about yourself, about the customers that you're servicing, and the clients, essentially?
I think if you were to ask my co-founder this question, he would probably say like 100 different things. I would say, as cliche as it is, nothing. Because like for me, my mentality is like, I have to go through this pain in order to get there. I mean, the only other thing would just say is like, from a personal level, I was just say like, get out of your own way, stop being an egotistical douchebag, and just like calm down and just don't fight, don't argue over things, don't try to be right all the time. Because like when you're in a leadership position, you want to be right. You feel like you're right all the time. And it's really hard for somebody to tell you that you're wrong. And then being able to hear that and react to it is also difficult. So that would be it. But I mean, I love the pain and the struggle in the beginning, but triumph is always good too. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's good to celebrate, the wins. And obviously there's a point, I think, that you have to make sure that you give yourself credit for everything that you're doing, whether, it's something small or something big. Essentially, those are the things that are going to kind of keep you moving forward. And, like most entrepreneurs, you don't really ever reach what you're trying to achieve, and it just kind of keeps on growing. And you have to make sure that you look at that both at a micro and a macro level. Otherwise, you kind of get stuck, and then you don't really know where to go. If you're looking at a macro level all the time, then the goal is just going to look huge. And so you just have to make sure that you're looking at things from very different perspectives at all times, so that you don't get kind of stuck, within the moment at all times.
If any time I've ever felt stuck is because I'm not looking at the business I'm looking at the business at the wrong lens. But the minute I'm able to just look at the business and look at the numbers and look at what's coming in and what's coming out, look at how they're coming in and how long they're staying. From a SaaS perspective, I think that's incredibly important, because if you make decisions based off of your gut or emotion, then you don't know enough about your business. Simple as that. But if you're able to say like, hey, I kind of want to go down this road because of XYZ reasons, then that's an educated decision. Even if it is risky, it's still educated. It may not work, but the repercussions because you're going down that line. But yeah,
have you ever done something,
Oh yeah,
from a
all the
gut
time.
feeling that kind of just absolutely um,
Yeah,
went the
advertisements.
wrong way?
Yeah, Facebook advertisements. Like I know I needed to do, like, we've had several conversations about this.
Mhm.
We knew we needed to do it. I didn't know how to do it, and I realized that, like, the reason why they didn't work in the very beginning, several years, a long time ago, was because I just didn't know the customer well enough, and even though we're collecting the data from the beginning, we just didn't look at it
Right.
stupidly enough. And after looking at the data, and you're just like, yeah, people keep asking these same questions on our support line. People are constantly asking about this, like, one feature. Why? Well, let's say it in an ad,
Uh-huh.
or let's use it in our scripts, whatever it may be. Like, it's the answers to your problems are probably staring at you in front of your face. You just have to,
Look for them,
you have to look for them.
or
Exactly.
just wait till they kind of show up and you have this moment where you know it all.
Yeah, exactly.
But how, I guess, what am I trying to ask? I'm trying to find the right words to put it together. But what is, one thing that you have noticed over and over again within the SaaS industry, not Penji specifically, that you feel like keeps happening over and over again?
Um, that SaaS is easy.
Yeah.
I think. Say again.
Or it just, what, I guess, what do you mean?
Yeah, like I think people are like, let's just make a revenue. Let's make a subscription revenue in order to gain more business. And you're just like, dude, do you know how hard it is?
Hmm.
I think that's number one. I think number two, I think people make software for themselves, but they don't think about the customer on the other end. And I don't think people spend enough time on the user experience of their own product.
Hmm.
Um, like, there are so many SaaS businesses out there that their user interface is so crap. And I just think to myself, like, have you not thought about this at all? Like, like MailChimp did a recent update.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I like MailChimp as a service, but, like, it is so goddamn difficult in order to find anything now.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, like, I understand that this is you have a good story and stuff like that, but, like, this is terrible UX UI. Like, it makes no logic and no sense at all. How did you come up with this?
And
And
they're
there's
and they're not doing anything to kind of teach you where things are now that they've changed things. Like, they just expect you to go in and know where everything's at.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's just one example, but, like, I mean, there's constant other examples. Like, when I would say that in most SaaS businesses, if you have even 10 features that you want to add into your quote unquote idea, you should probably get rid of 80% of them
Hmm.
and just focus on, like, two things.
The main things that actually.
Yeah, whatever the main thing is. Like Slack does it right.
Hmm.
Slack is chat. They don't try to do anything else. They don't, like, you don't even know. We'll throw it back to us. You don't even know how many times people have come up to us and be like, yo, man, you should do, like, development because, it's what we need. And, like, we understand that that's what is needed, but we understand that that's what people want. But at the same time, how can you be good at it?
Yeah.
How can you do, like, you could do so many things,
Well,
but, like, you got to specialize.
right. The other thing too is, like, first, you don't necessarily want to be a people pleaser,
Yeah.
with that sense of the word, but also, if you were to take on literally every single thing that anyone ever asks you to do, then you have this bloated product that isn't really good at one thing.
It's really easy. It's so easy to get influenced by other people. You have to stay true to your North Star.
Right.
You got to know what you stand for and what you believe in. And I think that comes back to, like, purpose. Like, if you understand what you believe in, you understand what your goals are. and you understand yourself, then the rest comes relatively simple. But without that star guiding you, you lose faith, and you start doing things, and you start listening to people, you start looking at trends,
Right.
and that's just going to destroy you.
Absolutely. Now, to talk a little bit more about kind of the structure of the business model, you know, you have SaaS involved in it, but you also have a team of highly skilled designers, you know, working and pretty much just having all these designs put out for customers, and making revisions and making the changes that are needed, and just delivering them and all that stuff. So how do you make sure that everything is working properly, right? Like, I'm guessing when the way I'm thinking of it is when you have a SaaS product, like it could literally just be one person behind everything. Obviously not a large scale, but you could have one piece of software that does everything that is needed, whether maybe it's a Chrome extension or something, but nobody really needs to be there, you know, touching things or delivering products and stuff like that. But when you look at Penji, you have the software that kind of brings, you know, the customers and the people, your employees, the team members working together, and it brings them together. It lets them communicate with each other and tell each other what they need and what is needed and so on. So how do you make sure that those two kind of keep working well at all times?
I think it's number one, communication is really important. Transparency is also important. But number three, when you sign up for Penji, you're only seeing 15% of what Penji is. Simple as that. There's a lot of intricate things that go into Penji that nobody else sees except for us. And that's just it's like Disney World, right? You go to Disney World and you're just you're in Disney World and you enter the doors and you want to feel this magical experience. But then if you were to see Mickey Mouse smoking a cigarette on his lunch break, you'd be like, I don't, it's gone, the magic is now gone for me. And so it's similar. I would say Penji is very similar in that same aspect. There's layers of Penji that I can't even get into, but just know that they're there. There's elements of better communication, notifications, communication and notifications, delivery, timeliness. I mean, there's so many metrics that are being measured that's kind of just from the technological SaaS element that's there. And, it's just something we don't really even talk about because nobody cares.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is, maybe asking too much, but essentially, and I'm aware, and I think you guys have disclosed it at some point, but there's a 2.0 happening.
3.0, my man.
3.0?
3.0.
Okay.
We could disclose that. It's about to be launched in a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
Well, wait, I don't know when this is going to go live, but we could talk about it.
Yeah. This might not go live on time, but we can definitely talk about it.
Yeah.
So what is Penji 3.0?
Penji 3.0 is everything it's everything. It's like I saw it today live for all the bugs and stuff like that. Cause you see it so often and you're like, this doesn't work and you get discouraged and all this stuff. But I saw it mobile for the completed first time today. And I almost just cried because it was perfect. And then you see the same experience on a desktop platform. You're like, yes, this is game changing. Some new elements of Penji for agencies, for people like yourself, you can now communicate with your team.
Okay.
You can now communicate with your, if you want, your customers. If you're a large organization and you're trying to complete a project, well, now you can work on that thing together in real time to complete that task. You'll be able to receive things faster than you've ever seen it before. The communication is going to be faster. I mean, just everything is it's a well-oiled machine now. And I'm so excited for it to be launched because now once people start to experience it, and I think people are really going to, I think it's just going to completely obliterate what's out there in the market. And I'm just really excited to launch it. From a sales perspective, I'm just like drooling.
That's great. And what are your thoughts on failing or giving up as an entrepreneur? Whether it's, I guess any sort of project that you're working on, and you think maybe, like this is the most difficult thing I've ever done. Like, what are your thoughts on people just giving up?
I mean, I think I have the most positive outlook on failure. Like, I think that's the one thing that I'm really good at is I'm resilient as all hell. You can punch me, you can kick me, you can cut my limbs off, but like I'll find a way to get back up. It doesn't matter. And like sometimes I don't stress about things, and people are like, why aren't you stressed? Like you literally just lost X amount of dollars on in a week, and you're just like, I know I'm gonna get it back.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm so confident, not stupid confident, but I know somehow, some way, I'm gonna be okay because I have my mindset, I have the people around me. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not asking it in the right way.
No, definitely. I think you answered that properly. But and you mentioned, I'm gonna get it back, and it's true. A lot of people think that they're gonna lose something, or they have this scarcity mentality where there's only like a certain amount of things out there, and you can only do it so many times. Where you have the earner's mentality where like, okay, well, I already did that once, so I can do it again. I know I can spend X amount of money on advertising or whatever it may be on development, failing over and over again, but I know that I can get it back. Like, there's people out there with money, or to supply and needs to fulfill, that you can always find a way to kind of get that for yourself and provide your services properly.
Well, I want to go a step further and say that the reason why people fail for the most part is because they're afraid of what other people may think of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, like when I first quit. So when we started Penji, we just rebranded ourselves. And I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, man. Like, we're going to rebrand again. Like, do you know how hard it was to rebrand the first and the second and third time? Now we got to do it again. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it's the right thing to do, but like, do you know how many people are going to judge me for this? Do you know how many people are going to look at me as a failure because like, I didn't do this? I look like me personally, this is what was once in my head. I look like such a freaking idiot, going on the podcast and talking about these things. And then the next week and be like, I'm going to sell Tupperware for the rest of my life. Like, you look like an idiot,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like the only person that, nobody remembers that. Like, nobody remembers the past 3 businesses that I've made.
Mm-hmm.
They only remember what is right now. And like, if you can get over that thought process, like, I think that's when you win. I don't give a crap about what other people think of me. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I like, it's like, I say things that like, people are like, well, you don't even know this person. Like, why I'm like, I'm keeping it real. I don't like what you're saying, or like, I want to put my opinion in here. Like, I'm doing it respectfully, of course. I do need to make that very clear. But like, I just want to see us succeed, and I'll do whatever it takes in order to make that happen. Just simple as that.
That's great. I actually love, everything that you just said. So I think we're kind of close to the 30 minutes here. So let's start wrapping it up with a couple more questions. So sure. What is, and we may have already kind of touched on this, but let's get a little bit deeper into it. What is one thing that you're not very good at?
I'm not the best manager in the world. Mm-hmm. Yeah, simple as that. Like, I'm not the best manager. I have a lot of room for improvement for sure. I think I'm a good leader, but I don't think I'm a good manager.
Mm-hmm. So what is the difference between a leader and a manager. And
I could take it. I could take you there. Like, and you come with me and I'll show you the way. A manager is like the day-to-day tasks. Like, you didn't turn this on time, or you didn't do that, or, you missed your deadline, things like
is
that.
it more of the authority that you kind of
Probably,
have
yeah.
a problem with? Is it?
It's just something I'm not good at.
Mhm.
It's not, I don't have a problem with it. Like, I could do it, but I think it's something that I want to get better at. Like, this is my self-acknowledgement of me saying, like, I want to get better at that.
Okay.
My mental attitude is like, what can we do to grow the company? I'm in growth mode. And so, like, you need somebody on your team that can help. If you're in growth mode, then you need somebody on your team to help you with the day-to-day management role. And, that's just something that I that's an area of opportunity for me. But I know I'm really good at a lot of other things that nobody else can do.
So now let's look at the other side of things. What am
I good at? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good at this. I'm good at talking to people. I can get into the smallest crevice on the planet. I can find a way to get in there. That's what I'm good at.
Okay.
Nobody else can do that. And I'm not saying this as me being arrogant. I'm just saying this as me, like, knowing myself. Like, I know how to get in to if I want to get a meeting with so-and-so, I know I can instantly think of an idea to find a way into that spot.
Okay.
And I can give you multiple examples. I mean, I probably shouldn't, but like, but there are so many occasions where people are like, on our team, like, how the F did you do that? And I was just like, I can't even explain it.
Yeah.
But I know that, like, that's the right thing to do.
Awesome. And as far as other SaaS companies, what are ones that you look up to and kind of inspire you to make Penji even better?
Yeah, I don't really look at many other companies. Like, I think you and I have somewhat of a disagreement on this. I don't use a lot of tools.
Yeah.
I don't use much of any. I really love, like, the essential ones that I use on a daily basis. So, like, Slack, obviously, I love their mission. I love what they just did with their new, like, digital media thing that they're doing. I don't know what it's called, but they're doing, like, conferences and stuff like that. Trello is reshaping their organization to pay. And I think that's a really smart move on their part. I think HubSpot is another one that and we're not even customers of any of these. I think we use all free stuff, but we don't even use HubSpot at all. But I love how forward thinking they are when it comes to digital marketing. Like, you can't go on Google and type in a digital marketing keyword and not see a HubSpot article. Like, they solidified themselves digitally to own the internet when it comes to digital marketing. And imagine if that was the case for Penji.
Yeah. And HubSpot, anything that you really look up, like, they literally have content on every single piece of digital marketing that you ever think of. And
that inspires me, though.
Yeah.
Like, to go to the question, like, what inspires you to make Penji better? Like, being next to or on the same line or above as HubSpot for any digital marketing strategy.
Great. That's awesome. And what's your favorite book?
I mean, so I'll give you this two answers. I think one of the best books is, like, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F is good. 48 Laws of Power, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think those are really good. But something I've been doing this past couple of weeks or so, 2 weeks or so, I've been clicking on sales books on, like, Audible and YouTube, and I play them while I work. I don't listen to the whole thing, but I might pick up on, like, small words, like a phrase, if they say something like a phrase and I'm just thinking about something or doing the work. and I'll pick up on it like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Or I'll watch like speeches and things like that on YouTube
Yeah.
from like popular SaaS businesses, like success and failures. And like maybe I'll have like a 2-minute like drift where I listen to that fully, and then I'll go for the rest of work and not really listen to it at all. But just the idea of me putting in that time investing, I don't know if I don't have all the time in the world to read a book from page in, page out, but I know the most amount of time that I'm on a computer, and it's in the office. So I know that may be a little weird for some people, but like I've been doing it and it's been really effective. Like I've come up with a ton of tweaks and changes based off of like just a couple of phrases that I've heard in these books and in these speeches. I don't even know the books that I'm listening to.
Yeah.
Because I just click on, I'm like, oh, SaaS sales, digital marketing. I'll read it and I'll just click on it.
That's awesome. And then Johnathan, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I do have a question, but I'm not going to ask it. It's a personal question. I'm not going to ask it. My question for you would be, oh man, what is the one thing that SaaS businesses are doing wrong in their advertising strategies?
That's a good question. I think personally that from what I've seen, from the back end of things and before working with them I think they're trying to get to the sale immediately. And I think I actually spoke this in a podcast that hasn't been released yet, but the way I like to think of it and really explain it is, when you think about it and it's a good analogy. Let's say you're walking down the mall, right? And then and I'm sure you've seen them before, and probably anyone that's listening, unless you're in a different country, maybe it's not something that they do there, but you're walking down the mall and then you have these little islands that sell different products like a lotion or something. And you're walking down the mall and they all of a sudden come up to you and they start putting lotion on your hand, or they're trying to sell it to you. You have no idea who they are. You have no idea where the product was made. You don't know a thing about anything that they do, and they're coming at you trying to sell you something. And I find that absolutely disrespectful, right? And when you look at, and it's not just SaaS companies, I think it's something that happens on a very broad spectrum, is that a lot of people are trying to go straight for the sale. And they don't even, people don't even understand who you are. They've never seen your face before. They've never seen your company before. And you're asking for something where when you look at, and I think that's what they're doing wrong, is just going directly for, hey, buy my product, use my tool, and so on. But when you take a step back and you look at some of the companies that you mentioned, like HubSpot, or you have Slack, and you look at the advertisements that they're running, they never even ask you for anything. They're just sending you content. They're trying to give you value literally for free. They're actually spending money to give you answers and give you items that you might be interested in. That's already building a different perspective in your brain of, the brand itself, because it's trying to help you. And then when you're looking for stuff, HubSpot's there again, and they have solutions for you, and they still haven't asked for anything. And then maybe, a couple of weeks out, or maybe a couple months out, you finally see something from them because you actually opted into them without them ever having to ask anything. And that's when they kind of get you with, hey, this is what we do, and we could help you with literally every question that you've ever asked. And that's where we have all this content for you. So essentially you want to educate people before you actually get anything from them.
But don't you think it's hard to do that when you're dire for money?
Yeah, I think it's hard, but the way to think about it is, if you're for a subscription-based model specifically, if you look at the lifetime value of your customers, and let's say, it's $5,000 for one of your customers, they stay on for as long as it takes for you to make $5,000. And if you're looking at Google Ads, for example, let's just talk, because they have biddings on keywords and things like that. Let's say you pay $10 for a click, and then, well, if my software is $5 a month and I'm paying $10 a click, I'm already losing money. But I think you have to look at it from a longer perspective, from a longer time range where, okay, well, I could literally, if my average lifetime value of a customer is $5,000, I could literally pay $5,000 to get a customer because I know in the long run, that's how much I'm going to make.
Okay. I dig that. I mean, that's really smart. And I don't think a lot of people think that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, what you said, they think about money quick.
Mm-hmm.
They think about the sale, and everybody likes to be romanced. We all like to go on dates.
Yeah.
But we don't do it enough. I respect that.
Absolutely. So thank you, Johnathan, again, for being on here. I really enjoy talking to you all the time. As you mentioned, we literally chat every single day. So thank you for everything. Thank you.
It's a bro fest.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can people find you online?
Sure. Penji.co. If you like my story, if you like what we have going on, just if you like our story, if you like my story, imagine that times 40 times 100, and you have amazing people that will work incredibly hard for you, that will find and make sure that the graphic designs that you need will be done in a timely manner and done correctly. We care so deeply about trust, and we're so grateful for the amount of people that have already trusted us, and we will work our butt off in order to not only get your trust, but to keep it. So head over to penji.co. If you have any type of interest, use the coupon code Luis15 for 15% off your first month of Penji.
Awesome. And I think we'll end it with that. So again, thank you so much for being on here, and we'll speak soon. Bye-bye.